Welcome to my green smoky eye tutorial. My name is Ebangha Tanyi, and this is my hyperpigmentation. So I have a lot of acne scars, but the skin is smooth, so we thank God. I'm going in first with a homemade rice water from a TikTok recipe. I love to keep my skin super hydrated, so anything I can do to just make sure my skin doesn't look dry. Next, I'm going to use the Fresh Floral Recovery Calming Mask. Technically, I think this is actually like an overnight moisturizer because it's so thick. But I'm going to use it as a regular moisturizer just because my skin is naturally that dry. Next, I'm going in with the Core6 Advanced Nail 96 Mucin Power Essence. Oh, that's a mouthful. Technically, I'm supposed to put this underneath my moisturizer, but when I wear makeup, I do put it on top because it just makes my skin look smooth. And it helps a lot. Okay, next is a Milk Makeup Hydro Grip Primer. I love this primer. I know a lot of people don't, but if you have really dry skin, it helps to make your makeup stay smooth and look really pristine. I do use the Pacifica Glow Baby Eye Bright Cream with vitamin C. This helps a lot with the creasing underneath. Ooh, got it in my eye. With the creasing underneath my eyes sometimes. From just wearing a lot of makeup. So yeah, I do a happy dance when I look good. Then I use my setting spray. I start with the ColourPop, the Pretty Fresh Hyaluronic Acid Setting Mist on my, like, closest to my skin, just because it's gonna help with my skin. Then I do the Beauty Bakery Spray Your Grace Setting Spray. This one seems to be like out of stock or out of production. I don't know what's going on. And then lastly, I use the MAC Prep and Prime Fix It Matte Setting Spray, just to give a good base. So I like to use the Anastasia Beverly Hills Clear Brow Gel with the Kiss Lash Adhesive, just to make sure that my eyebrows stay in place as I draw them on. I do have thick eyebrows, but they kind of stop at the arch. They don't really go down far, so I like to fill them in with a little bit of liner. So I start with that gel and then the glue, and then I go in with the powder just so that I make sure like everything is super dry, so I can get some crisp lines in there. Crisp lines. So I pat in the Beauty Bakery almond powder setting powder into my face, and then I go in with Juvia's Place. Their brow pen, I use the ebony color and the dark brown. I usually start with the dark brown and then fill in with black, just so I get like a variation of color and it doesn't look unnatural, I guess you could say. So I start with a few sharp lines in the direction that my hair grows, and then as you see, I'm drawing out the ends of my brows just because I don't really have ends of brows. For some reason, God didn't give me that. I might do a hair transplant there just because like that has always been something I wanted, you know, random, but yeah. So I always draw my brows much bigger than the actual brow just so that I can shape them how I want to. Now I go in with my LA Girl HD Pro Concealer. I usually dot a little bit away from my eyebrow and I draw the concealer up to my eyebrow in the shape that I prefer. I know that's like makes it so much more complicated, but I feel like it just looks better when it's not directly next to your brow. So I do the same thing on top. I put it a little further away from my brow and then draw it downward with each stroke. So as you can see, it looks pretty good right now, but to make it look even better, I like to take a small spoolie and just brush up into the concealer, just so it looks more natural and looks like, okay, it doesn't look natural. But I do go back in with another slanted beauty blender brush or whatever, and I put some powder in the places that I need to brighten. I guess like a pre-bake. I don't know what it's actually called. But next I'm going to go in with my NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer on top of my lid. So this is a part of my prepping for eyeshadow. I like to do a light concealer on top And then I like to go in with my Juvia's Place eyeshadow primer in shade 3. Now I'm going in with the darker shade closest to my lash line. And then I blend it up for a smooth look. I don't know if I actually need to do this since I'm going to be covering it all up with eyeshadow, but I've been doing this for so long that it just feels natural now. Crazy? Probably, but we move. So I'm going to blend out the Juvia's Place and then blend it into the concealer that's closer to my eyebrow. Blend, 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 blend. Okay, so on each eye, you want to make sure that the blend kind of matches. Not necessarily in the color if you're going to do eyeshadow all over, but definitely in the consistency. Especially towards the ends of your brows, just make sure that everything looks cohesive, you know? Definitely carry the line of that shadow, not shadow, the line of the concealer all the way down to the end of the brow so you get like a smooth and sharp line underneath your brow, just for a clean look. I'm all about looking really like blended and well put together. This may take a little while, but it is the base for your eyeshadow, so you want to make sure that consistency is good throughout and that there's no gaps. Next, I'm going to go in with a setting spray. I'm using setting spray throughout my makeup application instead of just at the end, just to make sure my makeup stays on and the consistency of it stays good. And then I'm going to go in with my One Size by Patrick Star. I love this one because I live in Houston, Texas, and it is always hot as hell. So keeping that underneath my makeup and on top of my makeup helps to make sure that my makeup stays looking good. Now, it's important to not cake on makeup because it's not going to look good in person. But if you blend out your product really well, it's going to look good. Next, I'm going in over all of my dark spots, especially my laugh lines because I laugh too much. And I'm just lightly placing concealer on top of those areas and then allowing it to dry out as I do the rest of my makeup look. And so what I found is that when I do this, it really helps to make sure that my dark spots are covered. No matter how many times I need to like blot my face or whatever it may be, they're covered. So I'm going to go in with a Black Radiance pressed powder with my beauty blender and just push in that concealer into those spots and let this sit on my face. This is also helpful for the Texas heat because my makeup doesn't move when I do this. And lastly, I'm making sure that that concealer is dry before I start going in with my Juvia's Place Chocolates palette. Now it's time to get into that crease. So I like to start from the bottom of my crease and then blend it upwards just so I make sure it's not too much in one spot. Because if it's near the bottom, it's kind of like easy to blend other things into it. But if you get it towards the top, that's a messy situation. But definitely blend as much as possible. And then I'm going in with a little a more fluffy brush with my transition color. This is that deep chocolate color. So this is a green smoky eye look, but I don't want it to look too like black or dark in the corners. So I'm using that chocolate to make sure that it's a little warmer. I'm going in with my Colored Rain Vivid Pigments and Shadows palette with the darkest green there. And I'm going to start to blend that into my crease and then pull it down towards my lid. I'm doing sort of like a faux cut crease, but not completely. I forgot my eyeshadow patches. These are just helpful to catch any fallout from your shadows. So you're not like blending shadow into your foundation and concealer. I am just ripping that first little sticky tab off and then placing that underneath my eye. I don't like to place take off the whole pad underneath. I just like a little bit of stickiness, and this will remove the color that I got accidentally on there first. And I blend it all the way from the ends of my eyes down to that eyeshadow patch. So I like to use a smaller fluffy brush when I'm going in with the deep color for a colored smoky eye look, just to make sure that it picks up a lot of the shadow and that I'm also transferring onto my eyes. Now it's time for the faux cut crease. I'm going in with that LA Girl, and I think this is the color Toffee. And so I'm going to start from the inside of my lid and just pull it out towards the crease, but not touching the crease. And I call it a faux cut crease because I'm just putting a little concealer down just to make sure that the metallics that I'm about to use pop. Sometimes when I use like a metallic on top of a darker color, it kind of mixes in with that darker color and it just doesn't give me the same effect that I want it to give. But if I use a little concealer underneath, I get that pop of shadow, or pop of color of the shadow. Okay, now I'm gonna go back in with my rich chocolatey color, and I'm just gonna clean up a little bit of the areas that may have gotten concealer in them that did not need to get concealer in them, and then also to clean up any of the greens or that really, really deep chocolate color, just to make sure that the lines are really clear. So now I'm going to go in with the Juvia's Place Rebel Army eyeshadow palette. I love this metallic color. It's so bold and it's so pretty, but it's sometimes hard to not, I guess, like blend it into other things, if that makes sense. So that's why I need that concealer underneath, just to make sure that it stands out as much as possible next to those darker colors. I love this look already. Ooh, that face. Trying to get this in that corner first and then pulling the color out towards the end of the cut crease, or the faux cut crease, I should say. Definitely want to make sure that you pick up a lot of the color. Juvia's Place is really good about showing up on melanated skin, so that's what I love about their eyeshadow palettes. But I'm going to go back in with that Colored Rain Vivid Pigments eyeshadows palette, and now I'm going to sort of give that transition color, the metallic color, just blending them all together for a more cohesive look. That green is really, really strong, and so it's gonna make sure the look is well put together. Definitely want to blend as much as possible. Go back and get more color, more pigment, whatever you need, just to make sure the look, it looks good. A smoky eye can easily turn into a raccoon eye, and we don't want that. We want to look cohesive and beautiful. So I'm going back in with that metallic color and just really defining things. And then I'm going to go in one last time with the transition color, and I'm going to bring it up to my brows. So when I have a concealer that's really light next to my brows, I love to cover it up or blend in a transition color that is closer to my skin color. just so the look is cohesive and I don't look crazy. So that's what I'm doing here with the chocolatey transition color. Just making sure that near my brows it looks a little bit more cohesive. And then again with the green, that dark green, blending it in and making sure that it looks good. I always dance when I get my eyeshadow done because it makes it feel better. Now I'm gonna go in with the bright green color from Juvia's Place, and this is just to give like a faux liner look. It's sort of just to make this shadow pop a little bit more. Sometimes I like to work with a wet brush, so I'll wet it with the setting spray, just to make sure that it picks up that pigment color. And I'm gonna go in with the same pigment color and push it towards the corner of my eyes. This is just to brighten up the look a little bit. And I guess I thought I was done. Now I'm gonna go in with an angled brush. With that same deep green colored rain color, and I'm gonna go underneath for my waterline and just dust that in right before I put any concealer underneath my eye. That way when I do put concealer, it can give you a sharper line. So here's that concealer that I was talking about. And I just want to go in with that underneath my eyes to brighten up this look. But you can already see like the shadow looks amazing. I would hold off on liner until after I'm done with concealer. Now I'm going to use the Makeup Revolution Fast Base Contour Stick in the shade Dark. I'm just going to go all over my face with that. I like to put down all of my concealers and all of my foundations and bronzers all at once and then blend it together. So I'm going to go in with the Milk Makeup matte cream bronzer stick, and just in places where I want to warm it places where I want to warm up my face a little bit, just to make sure I don't have that white cast mark. I like to do it along my jawline, along my laugh lines, and of course along my forehead and my nose. Next, I'm going to use the Estee Lauder Double Wear Stay in Place Foundation in color 7N1. So I feel like I have neutral skin or undertones, but I feel like it changes. Like when I was younger, it was really, really red, but here we are. So now I'm going to use the MAC Prep and Prime setting spray, and so I spray that all over on top of my on top of my foundation and concealer, and then same thing with the rest of my setting sprays. I probably don't need to use all three at once, but who is counting? And so I'm going to take my beauty blender that's angled, and I'm first going to blend out my concealer underneath my eye. I like to start from the middle of my face and work outwards. And so it's really important to get that concealer and foundation blended well together. It's not going to stay this bright. I usually start out with a brighter concealer, and as I'm working in my foundation, it blends together for a seamless look. Let's just keep on blending. I switch back and forth between a brush and a what's it called? A sponge, just to, I don't know, just do that a lot. Sometimes it's like it's easier to get like a finer blend with a brush than it is the beauty blender. Sometimes it's harder. It really depends on the day, to be honest. And then I'm going back in with my beauty blender, and just pressing that in and making sure that it looks good and cohesive. Yep. And I like to use the same sponge for my concealer, and really go in. Like, I probably tap my face like over 1,000 times just trying to get that blend right. But once you blend it right, it looks good. So multiple times I will like refresh with a setting spray just as the foundation and concealer dries down, just to make sure that like I'm not pulling off dry product and blending in wet product. Wet product blends so much better than dry product. And so I'm going to continue to blend out that lighter concealer that's in the middle of my face. Now, the one thing that I don't like about my skin right now is that I still have a lot of hyperpigmentation along my neck, and it's always been like that, like since I was a child. So once I'm done with my foundation for my face, I will take it into like doing it on my neck as well, just so it gives a more cohesive look. Because my face and my chest color are definitely closer in color than my neck color. And so now you're seeing that cohesive blend of pulling in my foundation towards where the lighter concealer is, meant to like brighten up my face. I love this look so much. Now, when you're doing blending around your hair, especially if you're black like me and our hair is like super sensitive, I try not to get the makeup in my hair at all. That's one thing you have to be conscious of. I really didn't need more foundation color on my face, but I like to just blend it into my neck at the same time. So now when I do put foundation on my neck, I will go back with the pressed powder on top of it and lightly dust it in. This kind of helps it stay in place even if I'm like sweating a little bit. And then I'll pull it downwards towards my chest, and that's what gives me a more cohesive look. Even though it's not going to take away the dark color completely, at least this way it looks more cohesive. And it's always important to blend out whatever concealer you use around your brows. I try to use a concealer that's closer in color to my skin color. Just because you don't want that halo effect look that we used to have in like 2016. And so I'm going to go back in with a smaller brush with that bronzer and just blend out towards my brows. This will warm up my face a little bit and also give me a little bit of a contour, not too much because I really like my nose shape. I'm always going to put on some setting spray and blend and blend and blend. The blend is where you get that smooth makeup look. Sometimes when I blend too much, I miss out on the coverage of my concealer. So I'll go back in with a little bit more concealer just to make it look good. But now we can finally go back in with a liner. I'm using NYX Professional Makeup Epic Wear Long Lasting Liquid Liner. I absolutely love this one. It's cheap, it looks good, it lasts well into the day. It doesn't like fade out or anything. And it gives me that bold line that I'm looking for. Now the problem is I'm not necessarily the best eyelash liner person in the world, so I definitely sometimes have to correct my mistakes. But I love a boldly lined lid. And can we take a second to appreciate the brows? You see that? You see how much work went into that and how good they look? Ugh. If there's anything that I'm proud of with this look, it's definitely my brows. Oh, and let's check out the blend of the shadow also. I felt so good. My face was still a little bit strong. Okay, so now we're gonna go in with the Maybelline Lash Sensational Sky High Mascara. Absolutely love this mascara. But we're gonna go in with I think it's Blackest Black if I'm not mistaken, just to blend that into my lash line. And then I'm gonna go in with Juvia's Place, the Bronze Duo in shades Dark. This is to warm up my face a little bit, because sometimes when you use like a concealer that's meant to brighten your face, it can kind of wash out your face a little bit. So I'm going to go back in with this to warm up my face and make sure that I just look good. Just look good. Always making sure that I'm blending out near my brows so they're perfect. And then I like to use the back of the beauty blender to just push in the powder whenever I use powder. And of course, along my neck, as you can see, it's definitely a difference from the beginning of the video till now. Like, it's not completely the same color, but it's much closer in color than it was before. Always setting that spray. And I'm gonna go in with the Patrick Star One Size. Okay, now we're gonna go in with one of my favorites. It's the Milani pressed powder. Oh, that's the wrong one. I love this powder. It's a highlighter powder. I think it's the Glow Setter color. And so I get to use a small brush and just lightly tap into it. I know this is probably like 2016 makeup, but I don't care. I'm gonna do what looks good on me. I look great. Okay, actually, it needs to stop playing. I've been sitting down here for way too long. Actually, I took a break to eat, so yeah. And then I just like a little bit on the tip of my nose, just a little bit. So I am not gonna leave it there because I have a lot going on, but just like blending that in. This time I'm going with the second one. But I think this looks pretty good. And I'm not baking, I'm like whatever, I don't know. But I'm gonna tap in there. Just a little bit. I Fenty the Pro Filter in Color 40 Soft Matte Powder Foundation. And I'm going to grab my triangle. And you see how it just like blurs out everything, like okay, my light just went. lashes. These are just from Amazon. Now for my lashes, I like security. I like to know that my lashes are not going to move. So I'm gonna go in with my adhesive.
You won't smell.
I need one.
The mine just dropped.
There we go. Kiss Strip Blush adhesive. Okay. I do it 2 ways. I put, oh no, I forgot. So if you're like me and you kind of mess up your eyeliner a little bit, like mine is definitely not smooth, you can always go back in with a slanted brush. Oops, shit. Spray a little bit of setting spray on it. And then what you're gonna do is grab your eyeliner, eyelash, one of those. Grab your eyeshadow color that is your lid color. Get it on the tip of your brush. And you're gonna go back in and make that line clear. Now you don't have to, but I want to. And it's probably because I'm a perfectionist. You see the difference? Because I see the difference. Okay, so I'm gonna put Juvia's Place Bronze Toast on the inside. I'm really hoping this looks way better than the other one, because that looked horrible. That looked bad. And then I'm gonna put the bronze chestnut on the outside. Look at that. Look at that, look at that, look at that, look at that. Okay. Look at that, look at that, look at that. I think I put a little on at first because I was scared. Okay, now I'm gonna put my lash glue on the lid. I know you're not supposed to do it, but okay. To be honest, I prefer to put on lashes with just my fingers, but is that not how he's done? Is this not what we do? Hmm? Hmm? Okay. Okay, y'all are gonna have to excuse me while I fight with these foam rollers. I don't know why they fight with me every single time, but here we are. But I do like the way that these curls hold up afterwards, so I won't say too much about these foam rollers. I'm gonna definitely step off camera to fluff out my hair and be right back afterwards. Life, but I think it looks good. It's very 70s going into 80s, big hair, big disco, but you think I love it. I'm loving things. The only thing I would change is that, like, on this side I didn't use as much sorry, I used a lot more green over here than I did over here, but still love you. But my brows, they look perfect. They look good. I'm a little surprised. Like, they blend so well. You wouldn't be able to tell my brows are not full naturally, but you can actually you can kind of tell I didn't get it. But that's neither here nor there. They never should let me look this good. Oh, and look at the nails. Okay, yeah, don't look at the thumbs, but look at the nails. I feel so pretty. You look good. As I do.